Breaking news. It is Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. And the headline that has everyone talking this morning is this: Ukrainian MiG-29 fighter jets have successfully adapted to Western ERAM missiles.
And that means these Soviet-era workhorses are going to stay effective and incredibly lethal, at least until 2030.
It's a huge development. I mean, we are really looking at a complete rewrite of the tactical map in Eastern Europe.
Absolutely. A fundamental shift.
Okay, so before we jump into the cockpit, a quick shout out to you. If you want to stay ahead of the curve on global security, and if you support the truth, make sure to subscribe to Defense Reports.
It really is your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. Staying informed is the first line of defense.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Arya.
And you're listening to Defense Report for a sharp, no-nonsense breakdown of the latest in global defense news, military tech, and strategic developments. And today, we are going to cover a story that, honestly, it sounds like science fiction.
But it's happening right now in the skies over Ukraine.
We're looking at how a 1980s, fully analog Soviet jet is now communicating fluently with a cutting-edge 2026 digital cruise missile.
And it's doing it with a solution that, well, it bypasses millions and millions of dollars in potential avionics upgrades.
We are talking about the integration of the US-made ERAM, that's the Extended Range Attack Munition, onto these old Soviet-era airframes. So here's the cliffhanger for you. How do you take a plane designed in the Cold War to fight F-16s and turn it into a long-range sniper?
One that can hold every single Russian base within 400 kilometers at risk.
The answer involves, of all things, a ruggedized tablet.
And some revolutionary 3D printing.
Right.
And a complete reimagining of what an Air Force even is. This isn't just about survival anymore.
No.
This is about the missile truck concept, and it effectively changes the entire geometry of the war.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have a serious stack of sources on the desk today. We've got technical papers from Zone 5 Technologies, procurement updates from the Polish Ministry of Defense, and some really incredible photos coming out of the Lviv State Aircraft Repair Plant.
So our mission for this deep dive is to understand how Ukraine, with a lot of help from Europe and the US, is bridging this massive gap to 2035.
They are, and I love this phrase from one of the papers, breaking the Soviet mental and technical past.
While still flying Soviet metal. It's a paradox, but it's clearly working.
To really get the scale of this, we have to start with the engineering hurdle, because on paper, it shouldn't work. You have the MiG-29 Fulcrum.
Right, a point defense fighter. Designed in the 1970s, its whole language is analog electric signals, Soviet proprietary data buses. It's ancient tech.
And then you have the ERAM. This is a fully digital NATO standard weapon. It speaks binary.
It relies on GPS, on the MIL-STD 1760 digital interface. Trying to plug one into the other is like, I don't know, trying to plug a USB drive into an 8-track tape player.
Just doesn't compute.
The MiG's mission computer literally does not have the architecture to even acknowledge the missile exists.
So usually the solution would be a mid-life update, right? You'd rip out the whole avionics suite, rewire the jet, install a new computer.
And spend 5 years and tens of millions of dollars testing it.
Ukraine did not have 5 years.
They didn't have 5 months, so they went with what we're calling the high-level hack.
Okay.
So instead of trying to teach this old Soviet computer a new language, they just bypassed the plane's nervous system entirely. They installed a ruggedized tablet right in the cockpit.
When you say tablet, we're not talking about an iPad, are we?
No, think Panasonic Toughbook Logic. It's a rugged, commercial, off-the-shelf unit strapped to the pilot's knee. And this tablet, it acts as a standalone stores management system.
So the pilot isn't punching coordinates into the MiG's dashboard?
The dashboard wouldn't understand them. No, they punch the GPS coordinates, all the mission parameters, directly into the tablet.
It's bypass surgery for the avionics. The plane just gets the pilot to the launch point.
And the pilot manages the weapon on a completely separate device.
That's the user interface part, but the real magic is happening under the wing, right?
That's where the real magic is. They developed a specialized pylon adapter. It's a MIL-STD 1760 interface bridge.
That bridge.
The tablet sends its digital commands, either wirelessly or through a separate line, to this bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And the bridge is what actually talks to the missile.
I want to pause on that pylon because the sources really highlight how difficult this is. I mean, you're taking a pylon designed for what? A lighter Soviet air-to-air missile.
Right.
And you're hanging a 2,000-pound class cruise missile on it. The stress engineering alone must be a nightmare.
Oh, it is. And that's why this bridge is so critical. It's not just an electrical plug. It has to be a structural adapter, too. To the MiG-29, this missile is just dead weight.
parasite.
Exactly. The plane literally doesn't know it's carrying a smart weapon. All the intelligence is external to the airframe.
That is the perfect definition of situational innovation.
Oh,
You ignore the platform's limitations by keeping the platform completely ignorant.
Exactly.
So let's shift to the weapon itself, because the delivery truck is only half the story. The ERAM is fascinating.
It really represents a philosophical shift in procurement. We've seen Ukraine use Storm Shadows and Scalpees, and with great effect.
But those are million-dollar assets. You save those.
You hoard them for special occasions, yeah. The ERAM is built on a totally different concept: affordable mass.
The price tag I'm seeing here is around $250,000 per unit.
Which is an absolute bargain.
It's bargain basement pricing for a long-range cruise missile.
Compare that to a Tomahawk or a Storm Shadow. When a missile costs $250,000, the tactics just completely change. You don't have to save it for a flagship.
You can launch what they're calling saturation attack.
Right. Fire 8 of them at once to overwhelm Russian air defenses. You know that even if 4 are shot down, the cost exchange ratio is still massively in your favor.
And despite that budget label, the specs are serious.
Yeah.
We're looking at a 500-pound class warhead, a speed of Mach 0.6.
About 735 kilometers per hour.
And a range of over 450 kilometers. That is roughly 250 nautical miles.
And that range is the strategic pivot. But I want to highlight the manufacturing first, because this is where the European support becomes so crucial.
These aren't just being made by the usual defense giants.
Not at all. The sources point to 2 companies: Zone 5 Technologies and Co-Aspire.
Okay, so Zone 5 makes the Rusty Dagger variant.
Yes, but the key detail in the corporate reports is their acquisition. In late 2025, they were bought by the Norwegian giant Kongsberg.
And that feels like more than just a business deal. That sounds like gridlock-proofing the supply chain.
That is exactly what it is. You move the intellectual property, the ownership, to a European NATO partner.
And you insulate the program from U.S. political volatility.
Precisely. If Washington gets gridlocked or funding stalls, the technology and the production lines in Europe just keep running. It's a huge step toward European strategic autonomy.
Okay, and then you have Co-Aspire making the RACM variant. And they're using Divergent's 3D printing tech.
And not for small parts. They are printing the actual fuselage structure, the chassis of the missile. Traditional missile manufacturing requires really expensive tooling, molds, long lead times. Divergent's approach uses additive manufacturing to build these airframe structures in weeks, not months.
So that's how they hit that production rate, 1,000 units a year.
It completely removes the tooling bottleneck.
Yeah.
If you need to change the aerodynamic profile, you just change the file. You don't have to retool an entire factory.
Which is vital in wartime when you need to adapt to enemy countermeasures on the fly.
Speaking of countermeasures, we have to talk guidance. Russia's electronic warfare is, it's top tier. A standard GPS missile is pretty much useless on the Donbass front.
So how does a budget missile like this survive that jamming environment?
It uses an EGI that's embedded GPSI inertial navigation with SASMM code.
That's the military-grade encrypted signal.
Much harder to spoof. But the real insurance policy is the terminal seeker. It's called QuickSync.
Which was originally designed for anti-ship work, right?
Originally, yes. It combines radar and infrared to physically see the target. So even if the GPS goes completely dark 50 miles out, the missile flies on inertial guidance until it's close.
Then it opens its eyes.
It identifies the target, even a moving one, and strikes.
Okay, that brings us to the strategic implications. We've got this parasite missile on an old jet. How did this actually change the map? Because for a long time, the MiG-29 was just trying to survive.
The MiG-29 was always a defensive fighter. Its radar range is maybe 70 or 80 kilometers.
Which is suicidal in modern air combat.
It's suicidal. You are well within the kill zone of a Russian S-400 or S-3000 V4 before you even see the enemy.
Right, the S-400 engagement bubble is roughly 400 kilometers. If you have to fly inside that to shoot, you die.
But the ERAM flies 460 kilometers.
Yeah.
This completely flips the geometry. The Ukrainian pilot can take off from a base in central Ukraine, fly up to altitude, and release the weapon while still 50 kilometers outside the Russian air defense range. Then just turn and go home.
The missile truck concept. The plane is just the first stage of the booster.
And that 460-kilometer reach puts the entirety of occupied Crimea, the Donbass, and crucially, logistics hubs deep inside southern Russia at risk.
We did see a preview of this, didn't we? Back in November 2025 with the Kamiansky Bridge strike.
That was the proof of concept. They used JDAMers, to drop a key span of that bridge, severing a rail line.
But the JDAMR only has a range of about 70 kilometers, so the pilots had to take huge risks to deliver it.
A massive risk. Now with ERAM, you take that same strike profile and you extend it by a factor of 6.
So you're not just hitting the bridge anymore.
You're hitting the train depot 3 hours before the train even reaches the bridge. It's logistics attrition. You hit fuel depots, command centers, rail junctions deep in the rear. You starve the frontline troops of ammo and gas without ever exposing your air force to their SAM.
It breaks the sanctuary of the Russian rear area.
Completely.
But there's still a weak link in this chain. The airframes themselves, these MiGs are old. They're being flown hard.
And landing on rough runways, it's a huge strain.
How is Ukraine keeping them airworthy when the manufacturer, Russia, is the enemy?
This is where the story shifts to, well, industrial heroism. The Lviv State Aircraft Repair Plant LSARP has effectively become a manufacturer.
The reports show they're producing 1,400 different metal parts domestically.
Which is incredible. But the most surprising detail to me was the rubber.
Rubber.
It sounds so mundane, doesn't it? But it's critical. Canopy seals, hydraulic hoses, fuel line gaskets, rubber rots over time.
And you can't just 3D print a rubber hose easily.
Not one that meets aviation safety standards. So Ukraine had to recreate the entire chemical supply chain to manufacture 2,000 different rubber items.
Because if the canopy seal fails at 30,000 feet, the mission is over.
The mission is over, so they've successfully indigenized their maintenance. But even with that, they just need more airframes. And that leads us to the big diplomatic news from this month.
The Polish transfer.
Poland is transferring its remaining MiG-29 fleet. We're seeing estimates between 9 and 14 jets to Ukraine. And these are some of the best maintained fulcrums in the world.
But looking at the Defense Ministry briefs, this isn't a donation, it's an exchange.
And that is the key takeaway. In return, Poland gets access to Ukrainian drone and missile technology.
That fundamentally changes the narrative. Ukraine is not just a charity case asking for old planes.
No, they're paying for them with cutting-edge intellectual property. Their rapid wartime innovation in unmanned systems and long-range drones is so advanced that a NATO nation like Poland sees value in trading fighter jets for it.
It validates Ukraine as a technological partner, not just a dependent.
Exactly. And practically speaking, those Polish MiGs slot right in. No new pilot training, no new infrastructure.
They arrive, they get the tablet upgrade, and they start hauling ERAMs.
It bridges the gap. We know the F-16s are arriving and ramping up. But pilot training is the bottleneck there. You can't just switch an entire Air Force in a year.
So the Vision 2035 document makes it clear.
The MiG-29 has to hold the line until 2030. And this ERAM integration ensures it doesn't just hold the line, it pushes the line back.
It's a stopgap measure that became a strategic advantage. So if we step back and look at the whole picture here, we have a Soviet airframe.
Maintained by Lviv Rubber and Metal.
Firing a US-designed, Norwegian-owned 3D printed missile.
All coordinated by a consumer-style tablet. It's the ultimate hybrid.
So what here is that software architecture and weapon capability have officially, finally, superseded the platform itself.
You don't need a stealth fighter to deliver a stealthy effect.
Not if your missile is smart enough and has the range. Ukraine has turned a liability, this aging, non-stealthy fleet, into a strategic hammer.
And they didn't wait for the perfect procurement cycle. They hacked the system, literally and figuratively.
Which forces a really provocative question for everyone watching this conflict. We spend billions on developing sixth-generation fighters. But if a 1980s MiG can be upgraded for the price of a tablet and a pylon to destroy strategic targets 400 kilometers away,
then is the era of the exquisite, expensive platform ending. Are we moving into the era of the missile truck, where the aircraft is almost irrelevant and the munition is everything?
Because if you can achieve these effects on the cheap, the economics of attrition warfare shift heavily in favor of the defender who can innovate.
That is a reality that military planners from Beijing to Washington are going to be analyzing for the next decade. It proves that adaptability is the most lethal weapon of all.
You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex and Aria, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry.
We hope this deep dive gave you a clearer picture of the incredible innovation happening in the skies over Europe right now.
If you found this breakdown valuable, make sure to support the channel. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. We'll catch you next time.